Hi guys. I'm looking a bit flushed, but I don't think I'm ill yet. And I just wanted to do a little video about some of the things that I've learned over the last few years, and even before that. When we had the announcement early this week about Zumba, I kind of went and jumped straight into that, and but I realise from talking to a few people today that I have a lot more to share, not just Zumba. And right now, we are going through such difficult times, such challenges. And I want to speak to that because I spent an awful lot of time studying fear. I am an expert on fear and on anger as well. And I one of the things I've just been doing actually before I found out we were going to be able to do the Zumba was finishing off an audiobook for my book Meditation for Angry People, which I actually wrote about 5 years ago. Now, the funny thing was, is as I was recording it and editing it, every time I was going through a chapter, I was like, oh yeah, which just goes to show you can write a book about something and still keep needing to learn those lessons. It doesn't really stay done. It's a lot like fitness like that. We can learn something, but we need to keep practicing it. Now, speaking to people online and over Zoom, things like that today and yesterday, I experienced an awful lot of negativity and fear and anger and stress. And somebody said to me, a good friend just said to me recently, she had a lot of people just crying all the time. And so that kind of woke me up and said, you know what, I need to be talking about some of these things and helping you guys to deal with what's going on at the moment. And I think, there are moments where you just sit and go, oh, what's going on? But what we want to do is try and get into a way of thinking and a state that is not necessarily positive in the way that we might think, but that empowers us and helps us to take the best action that we possibly can in the situation. And I think there are times when we feel like there's nothing that we can do. Now, I specifically didn't use the word control there because I think one of the things is a lot of people are finding it very difficult to realise how little we control things. I think the thing is we have to remember that is true of life ordinarily. We just, we make plans and bookings and holidays, and most of the time those things work out. But ultimately, those things are not within our control just because they do work out. So sometimes we're not really aware of all the things that go right to help us do the things that we want to do. And as soon as things start to go wrong, we're very aware of that. We're very aware of what we're not able to do and what isn't there for us. And, very often we can go to a supermarket and there's just that one thing isn't there. And we're so freaked out that thing isn't there that we fail to see everything else that is there. Don't worry, I'm not going to go all, oh, look on the bright side. Please don't, That's not the point of this video or what I'm going to say. I was doing a talk today with somebody, we were doing a little chat, and somebody asked what we were grateful for. And I said, actually, I'm really grateful for all the challenges I faced in my life before. Having been through so many and I'm sure we all have, we've been through difficult times with family members before who've been ill, who've been sick. So we've kind of got some practice, we've got some experience in here. The difficult thing is very often that practice and experience is very emotional. We've been through a difficult time before, it may or may not have worked out for us. So we can also be very triggered at the moment, for those times when something happened to somebody we loved and we had no chance, no time to plan or deal with it. And we just had to go with it. And it's kind of like that at the moment. We still have a lot of actions that we can take to support ourselves, our family members, and the whole community and the world right now. And that's very, very important because I think that, and I know from my book and my practice, that when we feel powerless, that's when we often have a tantrum. And we act out because a lot of us are not, I would say, not fully grown up. You know, we still got a little bit of the 2-year-old in us, a bit of the teenager. And some of the things that have kind of triggered me and pushed my buttons in the last few days are, and I don't want to get too specific, okay, because this is to do with people I love very, very much. But sometimes we go back into ways of behaving. And sometimes, and I've written a lot about this in my new book, sometimes we were powerless. And sometimes we were in a situation where we had to just go along with things, or we weren't able to help those around us, and we weren't able to protect them. And we weren't able to protect ourselves from certain types of behaviour. And so one of the things that sort of triggered me and some of my words, and possibly, you know, I hope they were all impeccable, you know, as Don Miguel Ruiz would say, let your speech be impeccable, be impeccable with your word. If I feel that I or other people are being bullied or told what to do or think, and that makes me angry. And of course, I shouldn't ever get angry, right? I should never get angry. But it makes me, I'll use the word angry, it makes me angry. And I say, no, don't say that to me. No, don't say that to that person. No, you've got no right to tell me what to say, tell me what to think, tell me who to be. And one of the things about the situation is we feel that a lot of the power and the action and the choices have been taken away from us. Now, I think the thing is we have to understand, and we have to understand what's an actual choice, you know? And so, for example, I was reading something online. This also made me a little bit angry. When somebody was talking about making the choice to self-isolate when they realised they had symptoms of coronavirus. Not just red cheeks, you know, they had actually the classic symptoms. And when I was reading this, I got quite sort of, I was out of in disbelief of like how somebody wouldn't self-isolate. And I don't want this to be out judgment or anything like that. But for me, it was kind of like, you know what, this is not a personal choice. This is a, what's the word? You know, this is like stealing something from the shop. You know, the rules are very clear in terms of the government website and things in the UK that you have a responsibility to do this or do that. So just because somebody isn't going to come along and give you a parking ticket doesn't mean you can park there. You know, it's for me, I just thought, how do you not know? A bit like this when I'm driving sometimes and somebody does something and I go, oh, I shouldn't have done that. Oh, that was really dangerous. And my brother would sit there and go, yeah, you know, but I say to my mum, not everybody's as good a driver as us, you know. But obviously it's quite, for me, it was quite an adjustment to think, you know, how could somebody think that it was okay to walk around and hug people if they already had symptoms? And that did make me a little bit cross because I feel like, hey, that's affecting all of us here. And we do have a community responsibility, absolutely. At the same time, there was a big debate online about something, and there were a big group of people saying, oh, you must do this, you must do that. And for me, I was saying, absolutely not. That is a personal choice. So right now, what we have to be careful about is saying, right, you know, and it's the thing, like we're saying, some people say it's my choice to go and buy up the supermarket and stick it in the whatever. And it's very difficult because in their mind, they're doing the right thing. So, and that's when we have to do things like restrict the number of things that people are allowed to buy. Supermarkets have to try and restrict people and that kind of thing. And it's, you know, I think we're seeing a very interesting sort of take on who human beings are, what's going on. And obviously a lot of it is fear-based. A lot of it is, and one of the things I teach and talk a lot about in my book, Meditation for Angry People, is that a very common root of anger is fear. And I'm not telling you anything new. This is what we've known for thousands of years, and what they teach in Star Wars and everything else is that when we become attached to things and then we become fearful about losing those or things changing, and then we can go into anger, and it can be very counterproductive as well. But another thing, and I did talk on another video about taking that fear and being able to let go of that fear by going back down into love. And we can see right now, we love each other so much. We love each other so much. We want to tell each other exactly what to do. But that's not really love. That's trying to control. And if we are trying to control other people, it often means that we are not respecting them. We're not respecting their personal choice. And as you can see, when I was talking about this before, hopefully you can see there's a difference between me calling something a personal choice and something being a matter of health and safety or community responsibility or You still can't park there. It's not a personal choice. Don't park there. It's not, it's not a personal choice. We're going to tow your car. Your car will get towed, So it's important for people to understand what is a personal choice and what is, a parking offence. They're different things. But one thing I really, really want to talk about now, and I really hope this helps people who are struggling right now, because it can be so good to get online and talk to other people, but sometimes we get together and we're just sharing the negative. We're just sharing, and the news is very good at sharing the negatives, right? It's very good at sharing negatives. So I'm not trying to tell you to be, happy and jolly and positive and all that kind of thing. But the one thing I will say is, please look at all the power that you do have, all the actions you can take to make things better for yourself, for your family, for your friends, even if it's just going for a walk, even if it's just sitting outside and having your coffee, even if it's just opening the window and yodeling, even if it's just smelling the flowers. All the 100 million escapes are on my website. Most of them you can't do because you can't get on a plane right now. But there are a million things you can do. There are great books you can read. I really would recommend books like Susan Jeffers' Feel the Fear. I'll come up with some books and there's some amazing films as well, and we watch weird films. I watch some very violent films when I'm watching a very violent film I used to love at the moment. I'm like, is this really a good idea? Like to watch a bit of Pretty Woman. Like to watch lots of random things. So, horses for courses. But I want to share more stuff, but it's like, somebody told me they're going to do this, somebody told me they're going to do that, and I thought that was really nice. Here's the thing I was going to suggest to people, because the libraries are closed, maybe clear your bookshelves, take some books out, give them to somebody else. If it's a dry day, you can put them outside and share them with people. I'm sure, I know, like at Emsworth Station, we have I don't know if it's going to be open, but there's a book drop-off there that has been for ages, and it's all free. Just go and take a book. So there are things that we can do to help each other out and support each other. But I want to talk about something else, which is a big part of my book, Meditation for Angry People. And that is how anger is a very common stage of grief, grieving, bereavement, whatever you want to call it. Now, this is really relevant, even if you haven't lost anybody, nobody you love has died. Because grief, and this is something that very often isn't understood about grief and grieving, is you can be grieving or bereaved. I think bereaved we tend to use just for for when somebody's lost somebody they love. We can suffer from grief just when we anticipate losing someone. And we can suffer from grief when things change. So even something that seems as simple as having booked a holiday and not being able to take it, being worried about your job, being worried about your livelihood, being worried about, your new romance that's just started that you can't continue. It can even be about losing something that we didn't even get yet. that maybe we had a great summer plan. Maybe we thought this would be a fantastic year for the business. Maybe you've been working so hard, you thought this is my year, and now it just seems to have disappeared. A lot of people who are not going to lose family members or friends or loved ones will still experience a great deal of grief. And I don't just mean that in the English sense, a lot of grief. Will be grieving, will be feeling the loss of their life, of life as we know it. And a lot of people say life will never be the same again. Now, I've never been through this, and I don't know if there's anybody in living memory who will have been through something like Spanish flu, which had such a devastating effect. But I think most of us at a certain age will have been through some experience that's just changed our lives forever. There's been like a storm that just blew through and destroyed the life that we were living. And of course we're going to experience grief. Of course we are. Because so many things have changed. The people, we may have lost somebody in the sense of somebody we thought we knew, whether it was a friend or a family member or, a romantic partner, who has acted in a way through the situation that we realised we didn't know them at all. Or it couldn't even be nothing to do with this situation, really. I actually had a similar one recently, and I just thought, I don't know this person. So it was like, losing a friend, and you realise, that person wasn't who I thought they were. And one of the really, really big things is we may be grieving for who we thought we were. And this situation and everything that's changing is showing us we're not who we thought we were. We're somebody different. Maybe it's, somebody, maybe we have to go back. At the moment I'm going back to being as administrator, and I'm really happy about that. Because it was something that was kind of always around for me. But somebody else may have been about to start something amazing, and then they feel like they're being pulled back to maybe working in the NHS. And it may not be what they wanted. It may not be the life they chose, and that person's making an incredible sacrifice in so many ways, and it's so beautiful and amazing. But that person may also be grieving for their retirement, for the fact they thought they were going to have a really nice time. But I think the thing is, what I'm trying to say to you guys is it's really easy to sit down and watch the news and read the paper and get angry at other people, to be fearful about how other people are going to behave. And I do it too. I do. And I had a lovely walk today. I went out and there were so many people out, and we just started saying good morning. And the next thing I knew, somebody was in their garden, and we were waving and we were saying hello, and we were saying, oh, this is social distancing. And then some other people I walked past, and I had to say, excuse me, could you back off? Because I don't think I'm ill, but I'm a bit flushed today, and I just don't want to take any risks. Why bother? Excuse me, could you move back a little bit? And I just don't want to get too close to you, just to be on the safe side. There's no reason not to. But as we go out and we interact with other human beings, we realise people are good. And you can argue with me all you like. I had an argument with somebody the other day, and they were like, people are horrible, people are mean. And I said, no, people are good. Because I've travelled around the world, and it's not just that, I know that we can act out and we can behave really badly at times. I would say people are good. Some of them just hide it really well. But in my experience, anybody who's behaving in a poor way at the moment, we know it's coming from fear. We know it's coming from other things as well. And it may just be that we think they're behaving badly, but maybe they're right. Maybe they're doing something that they believe in, and we just don't see it their way. And that's okay. But really, what's so important right now is, we control our own actions. Apart from the whole parking in the wrong place and not self-isolating if we really should be. But the path of the spiritual warrior is to stalk our own reactions, to examine our own thoughts, our own emotions, and our actions, and to see where we're acting out. So I really recommend that you take a moment, don't even have to call it meditation, but just allow your feelings, allow what's coming up, and look in the mirror, reflect on it, look at it and say, so today I can sit and look at the argument that I had online and say, why am I so emotional about this? Why am I so passionate? And I'm kind of glad that I wrote a lot of those things, because there are so many people who like those comments. And I think sometimes when you have certain, I felt like I was sticking up for people who were telling me and other people how to behave and what to do. And I just wanted to kind of like show the other side of the story and why it's so important for us to, to do certain things. It's not clear cut and it's not straightforward. And I didn't agree with those people. And I just felt that there was a real bullying attitude, and there was a lot of swearing as well. And it's very easy to take sides at the moment. And I think we need to stop and look and say, well, I'll tell you about this. So it was actually about Zumba classes, and it was about the Zumba home office, and a lot of the senior instructors are saying, yes, you should charge for your virtual classes. And then a lot of people were very, very negative about that. And one of the things that I thought about afterwards, and I might be wrong, and I don't want to. I'm not saying this to judge or to get at those people, but I do think this is kind of important right now. Is that some of us, and I know I'm one of those people, have a rescuer mentality, and I can actually see it with another relationship I've got at the moment, that we rescue, and we like to sort of swoop in. And we are great people to have in a situation like this. It is great to be a rescuer, And we're the kind of people that always get involved in other people's dramas. We're always, the ones to clear up at the end of a party. And we're always very supportive, and we want to help other people to do stuff. And we often fall into the trap of working for other people's projects more than for our own. So, for example, I had this lovely ex-boyfriend, and I remember he was like, oh my gosh, he was out of work and he was really desperate, and he would never do his CV and send it out to anybody, because every time he had a spare moment, somebody would rope him into something. So, have you done your CV? Have you sent it out to your employment agencies? No, I'm painting somebody's bathroom. I'm painting somebody's mother's bathroom. You're like, what about your life? What about taking care of yourself? And I think we have a pattern, a lot of us have a pattern where, we're the rescuer and we charge in on the white horse and we save people. And I've done it a lot, and I've been there a lot. And at a certain point, you cannot rescue everybody. Or you have to, find a way to help people that doesn't make you a doormat. And even with the best will in the world, it's very interesting as a kind of rescuing person, if you have a thing, that sometimes I've helped somebody up to a point. And actually, I talked a lot about this in my new book, The Fear of Success one. I said, when we help people, and there comes a point when we say no, we say, I can't lend you any more money, or no, I'm not going to do that for you, or I want my books back, or I shouldn't really have lent you that because it's not really mine, that was something somebody else lent to me. And then you get this real kind of aggression and problem, because as far as that person was concerned, your job was to do everything, to be that person, and to to kind of work for them, or or kind of be their servant. And then there's a bit of a wake-up call for everybody involved. And it's really tricky sometimes how we end up in that situation. And I'll be always honest, my best friends, the ones who've been my friends for years and years, and who we now, we don't talk that much, and then we're like on the phone about this kind of thing. They're really kind and loving people, and we're the kind of people that we fight each other to buy a round in a pub, and it's like the I don't know if you saw the Father Ted thing with the scones, and was it Mrs. Doyle, and they're like get really angry about paying for the scones, and they end up in prison because they've been fighting like, no, it's my turn to pay, I will pay for the scones, so yeah. Sometimes as the rescuer we kind of have to stop, and it's really difficult at the moment because we have to take care of ourselves enough to be there when we're really needed. And I'm finding that a lot. Actually, I'm getting very tired and not taking great care of myself sometimes, because I'm trying to do a lot, for other people, and with the best will in the world. And then when I talk to people, they go, oh no, you must rest, you must look after yourself, you must, and I think, yeah, I know, but it's very easy to get caught up in being in work. And I think that's the thing more than now at the moment. Please remember, this situation is, especially in the UK, it's probably going to go on for several months. So we need to kind of pace ourselves. This is a marathon, it's not a sprint. And I don't like to say that because I don't want to think about having to like manage the situation for months. None of us do. So, but I think it's really important that we take care of ourselves and we take care of each other. And a big part of that is being kind. And I think the thing is, if we have a flash, not a hot flash, it's not a hot flash. If we have a flash of anger, a flash of fear, a flash of panic, a flash of sadness, or we're stuck in one of those situations and we can't seem to move from there, it may well be that we're stuck in part of a grieving process. And one of the key stages of bereavement and grief is denial. And I think for a lot of us, that's where we have been, especially in the UK and the US and other countries where this virus is coming later, that we were hoping it wasn't going to get to us. We were hoping it wasn't going to be so bad. We were hoping that we would have a cure or a vaccine by now. We thought we would get away with it maybe. And so we've had a little bit of denial going on, and a lot of denial on the part of some of the people who I've seen who are saying, oh, well, I suppose I should self-isolate. I've been coughing a week. And you're like, oh my God. And so we have to have a little bit of, we have to have compassion, not pity for anybody. Don't pity anybody right now, okay? Because it's really, really important that we respect and have compassion for each other. It's really, really important that we respect each other's choices. And if we really feel that somebody is crossing the line and they're doing something illegal or something they shouldn't be doing, okay, take action, go away, think about it, look at it. Is that legal? Is that something where I need to tell somebody that person is wandering around coughing all over everybody? Because it's an issue. But really what we need to be doing is, see, look, me trying to tell you what we need to be doing, right? It's so easy for us to slip into judgment. It's so easy for us to slip into assumptions, because that person with 6 toilet rolls might be getting it for 6 old ladies, and we don't know that. And I find this a lot because when I'm driving my brother, who is disabled, we park in a disabled space. And so sometimes when I get out of the car, I get looks, right? Oh, this happened to me the other day in the hospital, and I there's a thing where you give the guy the ticket and you say, it's disabled, so can you do the ticket sort of thing. And he looked at me and she was giving me a really hard time. And I said, no, it's for my brother who's disabled. And the thing is, at first glance, you might not think he is. And then it was just one of those things we had to kind of like go. And then at a certain point, she just kind of went, oh, yeah, it's all right. And the penny dropped. She thought, yeah, this person is clearly disabled. And, we'd left the badge in the car because we thought we had to leave it in the car. And it was one of those things. But very often when I park in a disabled space, and I get out and people look at me like, why are you in the disabled space? It's like, because I'm driving somebody who is disabled. And there's a big thing that they always say is like, not all disabilities are visible. So, and that's really important to remember, that people's reasons, what's actually going on for people, may not be obvious. People may be coughing a lung up. Sorry, I may be rude saying that, but somebody might be coughing because they've just, and I always do this when I drink my water and it goes down the wrong way. And then you want to say, I don't have a cough, I'm just swallowing it down the wrong way. And we need to look at our own reactions to other people and try to stop acting like teenagers or toddlers or spoiled kids just because we're feeling powerless. Because we are not powerless, we are powerful. And there are so many things that we can be doing right now. And even if as much as, ringing somebody up and being on the phone to somebody, but we don't have to do everything. We are also individually, uniquely perfect and special and beautiful and wonderful. And each of us deserve to be able to also recognise and look after our own well-being. And that goes to people in the NHS as well. I know a lot of them are working really long hours and they're taking risks, and my heart goes out to them as well. But I hope from the bottom of my heart that all the people who are working so hard, whatever they're doing, and whatever risk they're putting them, the supermarket people, oh my gosh, how amazing are they? All of them, I have so much respect, but I hope that they know how much they're appreciated, and I hope that they don't feel pressured, or forced into making that sacrifice, and because it's so important that comes from a place of, we don't want to make anybody feel forced into doing something that should be a gift. I hope that makes sense. I think my words got a bit tangled up there at the end. But I really want to say that because I don't want anybody who's watching this, if you're feeling you're pressurised into doing something that doesn't feel right for you, please think twice, because you deserve, we all deserve to know that our well-being is important, each of us, and we are all equal. And as much as I really hope that Tom Hanks and Rita Wilson recover beautifully, I'm more concerned about my family and my grandma, and if a celebrity or somebody famous, or I know that's the same thing, right? But like somebody in politics things is, we have that reported, don't we? Like, this person's been exposed to virus, this person, and I'm like, well, yeah, but we're all a person. So when we see those numbers, those are all people. They're all somebody special, somebody wonderful, somebody loved. And we all kind of deserve the VIP treatment. We all deserve to be treated like a movie star. I know it's not going to happen. I know it's not going to happen, but God willing, we all get what we need. If we take what we need, give what we can, and hopefully we all come through this having grown and having, really, having some good wartime memories of how much we love each other, how much we've supported each other, and all the good things that can come out of being in crisis, and how much we can learn, and we can come out of this better people than we went into it. And that's what I hope. And that we don't just keep acting out the same patterns of behaviour, but we can learn. And for you out there, you know, I'm sorry if this went a bit long and a bit weird. It's hard to know where to start, isn't it? There's a lot of stuff. But please, Susan Jeffers used to always say this, and it's wonderful. Whenever you feel a negative emotion, pick up the mirror, not the actual mirror, unless you want to, and look at your reaction to the situation and why this is causing anger, why this is causing suffering in you, why this is causing fear. And try to deal with what's going on within you. Because as soon as you can do that, then you can handle the situation better. And I think that will help everybody. That will help all of us as a community, as a global community, to not keep having the same arguments, and not to, have to swear at each other or say mean things. Because we'll just respect each other. Okay. I hope that helps. I'll do another one. I'll do it better. Don't worry.